Sup, nerds? I'm Tom.
I'm Wes.
I'm Aaron.
We're talking about a new dynasty for Imhotep. What?
Well, that's a lot of combinations. Did you know with this expansion you can now play 1,024 combinations of different games?
Are you sure it's the tiles and it's not like with this guy, with that guy? I mean, really, there's like billions of combinations.
Greg comes.
If Greg doesn't come.
So what it does add, though, is 5 new double-sided boards that replace or mix in with the tiles from the original game. So the pyramids are still the pyramids, it's just there's 2 new ways to build them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so now each pyramid has A and B from the base game and now C and D. However, some of them don't really look like what they were, like, because all the cards still have to affect. The cards that will let you throw a stone in the pyramid or throw a stone in the obelisk. It's a bad example because these still do kind of look like obelisks, but this pyramid doesn't really look like a pyramid.
It's stacked up. It looks more like the temples.
It does, yeah. And I mean, and mainly because in the base game it was like an actual pyramid. You did a 3x3 and a 2x2 and a 1, you know?
So it really is. There's not like a huge steep learning curve when you're adding in this expansion because, well, like you have to figure out what the new places do. That's no different than if you just flipped from A side to B side for your first time. Mm-hmm. So like it takes a second to like, okay, well, what's going on in each of these things? What are we going for? But after that, it really is kind of plug and play. If you're already playing this game, adding in this expansion, like it adds in like that. And it is one of the expansions that, like, there's no reason to take it out of the base game. Like, there's no, like, oh, we're going to play without the expansion, and then we're going to add the expansion back in later. Like, no, just mix it all together, and then pick out which ones either you want to try combinations of, or which ones you want best, or, like, well, we haven't played this one in a while.
Yeah, because really it just comes down to new strategies for the different sides of the places. Like, you know, they all pay out similarly. You know, they may, you may just want to get on, you know, a different spot in a certain temple because, like, oh, and this one, you know, you just score a bunch of points. But now on side C of Temple of Ra, there's only 3 that are showing, and when you look down, just like in the original temple, you look down to see where you get. But this, it's like, okay, if you're the first spot, you get 2 points or 4 more blocks to work with. So you're like, ooh, that's cool. And then there's drawing cards, and another one that's 2 points or the blocks. So you have to really think about how you are on the boat and re-strategize the way you would do your boat placement versus, you know, just if it would be flipped to the other side. Like, okay, well, this one's longer, or, you know.
Or there is some, like, the obelisk on side D where it still doesn't really matter where you're placed on the boat unless you're starting a new obelisk. If you're just working on an obelisk, like, I don't care from the front or the back.
Mm-hmm. Now, we are kind of downplaying the fact that there are 2 other things, like, so there are new boards, but there are some new cards that get mixed into the main deck, and there are these auction things with prophecy of whatever. So the cards, actually, I was just looking through. Yeah, I don't think there's any reason why these cards, I don't think there's anything like specific to the prophecy per se, such that you would want to have these mixed out. The prophecies are also optional. They're just like betting that you're going to be able to do something, and the earlier you bet on it, the more points you get. There's also negative points if you don't do it, and they're public. So somebody else can see, ooh, he thinks he's going to have the most things over here. Well, I'm going to stop that. And it's almost like a no-brainer in this type of game. Like, I was looking at it, and I was like, oh, we're betting on what we're going to do, and then I'll start playing it. I was like, well, yeah, obviously. That, like, fits into this game so much. It's not fiddly. It's not, you know, it's not like something I'm having to think about all the time. It's just, I don't know.
It is something to think about, though. Like, the last round of the game, the game we just played, Tom got to choose where just Aaron and I's blocks were. So he was like, okay, do I want to help Wes out? Do I want to help Aaron out? And he didn't look at the prophecies. That gave me a bunch more points because he sent me to a place. So it was a prophecy where you have to have 3 cubes at every location, at least 3 cubes. And there was one location where I only had 2 cubes there. And I was like, I really hope he sends it to the pyramid because then I'll complete that prophecy. And so that, it could come up where you're like, okay, well, if I go here, it's going to help him complete this prophecy. Or if I go here, it's going to help me, because some of them are also, like, where you have the most of cubes at. So you may, like, okay, well, this is going to help him. Like, sending Aaron down here is going to not help him as much as sending him here, but it's going to take the prophecy away from me. So it does add one more level of things to kind of think about, but it's almost like background stuff going on. It doesn't affect the bulk of the gameplay.
Yeah, I would say that the prophecy cards definitely add to the player interaction in that way, because this game has always been highly player interactive, but now, if I see that, Tom's going, he's like, oh, I think I'm going to have the most at the pyramids. I'm like, I'm going to take that bet too, and now we're both vying for it, but we know what's on the line for each other. Like, we can both see that if I get it, I'm going to get the 7 points, he's going to lose 3 points, unless, I bet in a later round on it.
Yeah. That's the only thing I'm not certain on. I would want to try playing a game where the bets are these are like slots, because normally so there's the earlier you do it, the more points you get. But these slots aren't limited in number of players, so I can't double bet on myself in the first round, but I can go for the same thing that he's going for in the same round. It'd be interesting to see that this blocks, because like you were saying, why would I put it in the first round if I can just put it in the second round?
And get the same points for
the same
it.
points.
I'd
There's
rather
nothing
wait to
back.
see if I got closer to it.
Right. So it would be interesting to be like, oh, there's that one slot there. Whoever thinks they're going to do it better hurry up and put their thing there, because they're blocking everybody else. I do like the idea that we can both go for the same thing, but we can go for the same thing, but just not get the same points of it if I do it first round and you do it second round. Minor complaint, though. Like, that's just, the only thing
Not
I
even
can
a
pull up.
complaint, more of
Just
pondering.
Suggestion, really. Well, I'm suggesting that I think that would be the superior version. So, by transitive property, not transitive property. I'm done.
So in a 4-player game, you'd be screwing one person out of betting in the first
Only
round.
on that prophecy.
Right, the first
First round if we all bet.
First round, we go boom, 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 and then, I can't bet this round, yeah.
It is a great expansion. I do really like it. Imhotep's a great game, and the expansion just opens up more possibilities. There's some really fun things.
You want to know how many possibilities? 1,024.
I really like the one where you're building the little Tetris-y.
Oh yeah, that one's really
thing,
cool.
like
The
that-
obelisk.
That's cool just because it's one of the most unique, I think, because you're actually building something on your sideboards.
The chariot race is really cool too, though. Like, you're putting blocks down so that you can move your chariot guys around. Like, it's cool because you get these little meeples.
The burial chamber's cool too, guys.
The burial chamber.
The box is cool, guys!
Yeah, it's good for
Well, obviously, if any of what we were saying sounds interesting to you, and even if you don't have the base game for Imhotep, we're going to have this and this in the description box down below. Go get yourself a whole bunch of copies.
If you haven't seen our review for the base game Imhotep, click the card or the link down below. Make sure you watch that too, because we'll talk a lot more about the strategies of the actual game.
While you're down there, don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you'll never be bored. A new Dynasty because it's new.
And Dynasty is a word I don't know, so I think it's a type of diner. The box is cool, guys!
Yeah, it's good for,
I hate him so much. We done?
Yeah.
Let's sit down. Wackiness. All right.
Comedy!